Namaste, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Blooming Lotus Healing Channel. My name is Jakara, and I'm a spiritual healing facilitator. And I'm so excited that you're here. If this is your first time here, I just want to invite you to take a moment to subscribe to my channel so that way you know when I have a new video coming up next. I also want to invite you to support this channel by sharing and liking this video so that way YouTube knows that this is a video that needs to be watched, and so it recommends it to more people so we can grow this community. I also want to take a moment to thank my supporters, those of you who are part of the Cosmic Light Activation membership. I want to thank you for being part of this. You are the backbone of this channel. This channel is fully supported by those of you who are part of this membership. And I want to take this moment to invite any of you who want to support this channel beyond subscribing and liking this video. If you want to support and also get access to a private Telegram group where you get weekly oracle guidance for the collective, as well as monthly Akashic clearings that help you really clear energies from the collective, then I want to invite you to sign up for my email list at thebloominglotushealing.com. You can scroll down and sign up for that so that way you know when I am opening the doors next. And so I want to take a moment just to drop into the conversation today. So if you found this video because of the title, which is going to be very controversial, I know a lot of people might find this video triggering. I want to invite you to come in with an open heart, and we're setting the intention to connect heart to heart so that we can really feel the truth of what I'm about to share with you. So I want to take a moment to read something to you that I just wrote that I was inspired to share. I can be fat and spiritual. I can be fat and be intuitive. I can be fat and practice yoga. I can be fat and be mindful. I can be fat and still be powerful. I can be fat and heal. I can be fat and love my body. I can be fat and be successful. I can be fat and be creative. I can be fat and be healthy. And let's just zero in on the word fat. I know for me personally, the word fat for the longest time was something that would trigger me so much. I put so much energetic discordance into this word that I wasn't able to get over that for the longest time. But I enjoy fat. I enjoy the fatty parts of certain cuts of meat, or I enjoy the fatty parts of certain, like olive oil or olives. We all enjoy fat. But when it comes down to seeing it on our bodies for whatever reason, we get this trigger, right? And there's a lot of programming that goes around this that I personally have been working so hard to to release and unfold out of, and being able to learn to love myself at the heaviest I've ever been. You are literally witnessing me at the heaviest I've ever been. Okay. This was my greatest fear, to be this big. And here I am recording this video. I'm posting it on YouTube for possible fat shaming comments out there, right? And for possible many things that, that we fear. But I'm standing in this truth of celebrating myself, right? And celebrating and loving myself and choosing to love myself in this space, because at the end of the day, this is just an aspect of who I am, right? And there's a lot of fat shaming that happens even in the spiritual communities, even in the new age communities. And so to zero in on what body shaming is, I pulled up from a website here from it's waldeneatingdisorders.com, and I will be posting this on the description below. But I kind of wanted to zero in on what they describe what body shaming is. Body shaming is criticizing yourself or others because of some aspect of physical appearance. This can lead to a vicious cycle of judgment and criticism. Messages from the media and from other often implies that we should want to change, that we should care about looking slimmer, smaller, tanner, or whatever that looks like for us. And so I kind of wanted to take a moment just to really talk about this, because this is something that I have been experiencing for a while now in regards to really having to overcome. When I first decided to step into the role of being a reader online and putting myself out there and doing live streams on Facebook, I did start back in 2020, and I was starting to share meditation because I myself personally experienced really powerful changes in my own life when it came down to meditation and participating at Vipassana, at a Vipassana retreat for 10 days. And those 10 days of complete disconnect from the world, I didn't have any contact to with anyone, like no eye contact, no interaction, just being within myself for 10 days was the most powerful thing I've ever done in my life. And I felt this rush of gratitude, and not only gratitude, but this rush of love that I was experiencing. I was feeling love in my being in such a way that I recognized and I realized that meditation was so powerful, especially in a setting like that, right? Of course, when we are out and about living our lives, it's a little harder to experience these powerful, moments. Not that it's not possible, it is possible, but it was very powerful. But there's a caveat here. Okay. The caveat is that I am not a skinny person that looks, like what you would imagine a person that is spiritual should look like, right? And so when I went out there and 2020 came in, and I was practicing meditation, for about a year now after the Vipassana retreat. And I really wanted to share that. I was really being inspired by Jay Shetty and the work that he does. I've been following him for a while, and I was really inspired. He was so encouraging, and the way that he would talk about, those who are part of the Genius Group. I was part of the Genius Group of his Genius Group for a while, and I was inspired. It's like, well, let's share the goodness in the world. Like, let's just do this, right? So I decided, okay, I'm going to share meditation. So I started sharing meditation online and on Facebook, doing lives. And so I was confronted by my half brother. So my mom and my dad, so my dad, I came from his second marriage, which was with my mom. And so I have siblings on my dad's side from his first marriage, so they're older than me. And so one of them is in touch with me, and he has me on Facebook, and he started seeing me on Facebook. And I come from a big family. Like, my family on my dad's side, they're all big. Like, we are Italian. I'm half Italian and half Venezuelan. And within the Venezuelan, I have, indigenous and African, and I'm a mestiza, what they call mestiza in that community, right? And so, but on my dad's side, I'm Italian, and I carry that, right? Like, I carry that Italian energy, and I love Italian food and all of that. So I enjoy eating. Like, I enjoy the feeling of togetherness that food brings to the table, and having, parties or hosting people. Like, that's something that I love, because it's part of not only the Italian side of me that is just innate, but also the Venezuelan side of me. Like, we love sharing food. That's the way that we share love. And so my brother comes to me, and well, he calls me, and he mentions that he was wondering, why am I sharing meditation in the way that I look? And I'm not gonna lie, at that moment, it really hit me. Like, it was kind of like a slap on the face when my brother said that. And I was like, what? Yeah, you don't look like what you should look like. You should lose weight, and try looking the part, so that you can share meditation. And I was like, so confused, because me being skinny or smaller did not have anything to do with the benefits of actually doing meditation in the first place. So I was really appalled by the fact that he said that. But not only appalled, I was really hurt, because here I am, inspired to do something, and oh, I can't do it because I'm fat. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous, right? So, of course, I'm saying that now, but at the moment, I started feeling insecure. It's like, oh my gosh, like maybe I shouldn't do this, or, maybe I'm not good enough. And I went into this spiral, right? And so that's when, I realized, when it comes down to body shaming, it's one of those things where, we got to be very careful about how we speak to each other, and how, if someone is triggered, if you are triggered by me being fat, that has nothing to do about me, but more about you and your own relationship with your body and perception and programming about yourself, right? Me being fat has nothing to do with being spiritual, being more spiritual or less spiritual. And let's just kind of zoom into the being more or less spiritual. This is all ego, right? The ego is the one that wants to kind of have this conversation, this mental gymnastics of, oh, I am better than you because I meditate 10 hours a day, or I eat only vegan, or I eat only vegetarian, or I eat, this is all, to me, this is all part of the egoic mind trying to make sense of what it means to be spiritual, right? But the reality is that we're spiritual regardless of what expression we are, right? And think about it this way. Do you see, for example, a manatee? I saw a manatee the other day. Oh my gosh, I went to see some manatees. I want to say, like, over, like, maybe it was 2 months ago. My husband and I went over to see manatees over at a park, at a state park here in Florida. And what majestic animals, right? And they're big. They have a lot of fat on them, right? And I was in tears at their majestic beauty. And you don't see a manatee just wondering, oh my gosh, do I need to get slimmer? Or you don't see an elephant saying, oh my God, I gotta get smaller. You don't see a whale saying, like, oh my God, I gotta get, no. You don't see a bear trying to, like, oh my God, I gotta get slimmer. No, because that's not part of the reality, right? That's not even part of that. Of course, we have these other aspects of ourselves that we kind of, bring into the table. But this is all programming, and this is the thing that I want to kind of bring into the table. And, yes, that we can definitely do better, that we can, that in regards to maybe being healthy and moving or whatever. Yes, I can do better things for me. I can recognize that there's things that I can do better, that sometimes I abandon myself. But this has nothing to do with being fat. It has more to do with trauma, right? So when we look at someone and we look at their body, and their physicality, I want to invite you to really bring compassion into yourself and that person, and recognize, well, what did that person go through, right? Maybe they've been through some body trauma. Maybe they've been through some physical trauma. Maybe they've been abused physically, so much so that they naturally became bigger so they could protect themselves, right? So there's so much, right? And I am actually one of those examples, right? I've been through physical, sexual, and physical trauma. All of those I've been through, right? So my body naturally wants to protect. My body's trying to protect me. I'm so grateful to the fat on my body, right? Because it's quite literally my body trying to say, hey, I want to protect you and keep you alive, right? And so when I shifted my perspective about my body and started seeing how the beauty of my body and how my body wants to keep me going, then I naturally want to treat it better, right? So for example, I had a hard time moving my body because I was scared of losing weight. I was scared of being seen, right? That's been something that I've been having to contend with. And I'm just keeping it real here. And I'm going to continue to keep it real, right? And so this is how I am. This is who I am. And I'd rather keep it real than not, right? Because the reality is that, oh, I have everything figured out. Who has everything figured out? No one, right? No one has everything figured out. The other day I was, in ceremony. After ceremony, my husband and I, we looked at each other. It's like, no one has everything figured out, you know. And it was funny because we came up with this phrase: "Are we lifing right?" Nobody knows if they're lifing right. All of us are trying to figure out our way back home, right? And we are all walking home together, right? So when we kind of go back into that space and recognizing that we don't have everything figured out on our own, and that we are just as clueless as the next person next to us, then we can start, humbling ourselves into recognizing that, you know what? Who am I to judge this other person? Who am I to judge their body and to judge the state of their body? And why am I judging this person? Where is this judgment coming from? That is my invitation here. My invitation to you is to see, okay, where is this coming from? And why am I feeling the need to judge? Right? Because and it's in every religion. No, non-judgment is in every religion, right? And so this is obviously there for a reason, because this is a natural thing that we do as humans. Spirit knew this, and that's why Spirit shared this the same invitation in so many languages, in so many areas of the world, because at the end of the day, we gotta catch ourselves. We got to check ourselves. We got to be honest with ourselves, right? Know thyself, heal thyself, right? And the only way that we can make this world a better place, truly, and Michael Jackson had it right, is to look at the man, the woman in the mirror, right? And so it's true. It's so true. When we look at ourselves in the mirror and we say, hey, you know what? I don't have everything figured out, and I also have some really dark things, and then we can start humbling ourselves and say, you know what? Who am I to judge the person next to me, right? And when the judgment comes, don't shame yourself either. Just stay curious, stay compassionate, and say, you know what? I'm judging this person. Why am I judging this person? Where is this coming from? Okay, let me figure it out, right? Instead of like saying, oh my God, I'm judging and how dare me, because then we go into shaming. Right. And this is not about shaming. This video is definitely not about shaming, but rather about empowering you and inviting you to connect to a broader perspective, right? We have so much traumatic energy in the collective. Let's think about how this traumatic energy has been passed down over through so many generations, especially for us women. We've had so much trauma stored in our DNA. Have you thought about that for a minute? Right? Have you thought about the fact that all of this trauma in some shape or form is expressing through our bodies, right? And sometimes it's going to come in the shape of behaviors that keep us in a space where we are not caring for our bodies in the way that our bodies deserve, right? And so that has nothing to do with, oh my gosh, like doing something wrong. It's about recognizing that we are where we are and learning to love ourselves wherever we are, right? It's not about, oh my gosh, I have to be perfect. It's more about, oh my gosh, like what can I do what can I do right now to love me where I'm at now? What is the invitation? And this is a conversation that I had with my husband a little while ago, because he kind of echoed a little bit of, oh, like, maybe you will get more followers if you lost weight. He said that to me one time, and I sat him down and said, no, because at the end of the day, me showing up like this is going to resonate for people. Why? Because I am showing myself fully in my full loving capacity and full power. And guess what? This is going to invite others who are in the same space that I am to show up in their full power in their own life, and in whichever shape or form they're meant to show up, right? And that is my intention, really, truly, behind everything else that I am doing with the clearings and me showing up like this. That is what drives me, right? It doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop caring for my body. Absolutely not. If anything, I am inspired to care more for my body so that I can show up more in the space, right? So I can show up even better in the space, right? And so, for me, lately I've been, really contending with this energy of, like being fat, and like being comfortable with being fat, and being comfortable showing up in spaces that are fitness oriented, and showing up fully in this beautiful fatness of mine, and saying, you know what, this is who I am, and I am beautiful, and this is beautiful. I am loving my body, and I am going to go into the space not to shrink my body, but to rather give it the love and the support that it needs. Shifting that perspective for me has been a huge, huge amount of work, right? And I'm going to tell you, back in the day when I used to be a lot smaller, okay, I used to work out hours at the gym. I would work out for hours trying to make sure that I never would get fat. I was scared because my mom told me that that was the worst that could ever happen to me. So then I got so scared of being fat because I knew that my dad was fat. I knew that my family on my father's side were bigger, and I was so scared. That was my biggest fear, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. Like here I am, living that biggest fear that I had back then, and I'm thinking, well, so what is this, right? Where do I exist in here? Do I need to stop loving myself because I'm this big, or do I learn to love myself here? And it's been a beautiful journey of deconditioning, right? And especially when I've been going back to, okay, let me start dieting, and let me do this and let me do that, and like, what does it look like for me to love myself? And I'm kind of in this process of redefining what it looks like for me, and the relationship with food, and how this restrictive dieting thing was kind of making me feel a little a little triggered, right? And this restricting, and this, let me make myself smaller, and let me, and it didn't feel loving. It's been feeling so, in a way unhealthy, truly. Because at the end of the day, if I start yo-yoing, that's what keeps the companies that are built around this diet culture to thrive. So then now I'm thinking, well, what can I do, right? How can I bring more fullness, more gentleness, more compassion into my space, right? That's how you are fat and spiritual, right? That's how you, not only fat but also any shape, right? I'm focusing on fat because I'm a big girl. I'm a curvaceous girl, and so that's the reason why I'm talking about that. But it doesn't matter your shape, right? You can be someone who's small, right? And maybe you've been feeling insecure about your body, and you're feeling like, like, I want to get bigger and I don't know how to get bigger. No, it's about loving your body exactly where it's at, right? And so I kind of wanted to share some things here that were shared here at this eating disorders website. So this is a place that people go. I'm not necessarily getting paid by them or anything. I just happened to find their blog post, and so I just kind of wanted to share this with you. So they're kind of mentioning body shaming manifests in many ways. So criticizing your own appearance through a judgment or comparison to another person, also criticizing another person's appearance in front of them, with basically looking at them and saying, your thighs or your butt or whatever, just criticizing that, criticizing another appearances without their knowledge. Okay, so maybe you are in front of them and you're saying, oh, look at your belly's getting fat, or maybe you're saying, oh, you talk behind their back and say something negative about their body, right? That's body shaming. And so this leads to the question, if it has such harsh consequences, why is it body shaming so common? So one of the things that they say is that they often discuss that is dealing with conflict with peers. So when we're upset, annoyed, or intimidated by anyone, we default to criticizing their appearance, right? So a lot of times, when you're kind of like being upset, you're upset with someone, you're gonna, I'm gonna just attack their appearance because that's just the first thing that I can do. Which is it's if you really think about it, it's kind of childlike. It's very childlike, right? So, like, how can we move away from this, right? And start recognizing that this is not okay, right? It's not okay for us to body shame anyone. And especially and I'm gonna zero in the spirituality in the spiritual world, but in general, right? And so how do we challenge body shaming? And I love what they said here. They say practice identifying why you're upset about a situation. For example, it's unlikely that you're mad at a friend because she's breaking out, or that likely that you're upset about a miscommunication, or maybe feeling rejected, right? So like really looking at the things beyond, right, the surface, right? Identify who in your life is body positive or even body neutral. So maybe think about people who celebrate their body or who are very neutral about their body, and try to, kind of be around those people more often, right? So that you can have a more positive connection with your body. Confront those who perpetuate body shaming. And that's something that I've had to do in my life, especially with my mother and my mother-in-law. It's unfortunate that we as women, we continue to body shame each other, especially when there's like a family relation. It's such a sad thing, and as I move into the space of wanting to prepare myself and my body to have a child, I continue to think about this. Like, if I have, regardless if it's a boy or a girl, I want to make sure that they feel comfortable in their body. I want them to love their body in whichever shape or form it looks, right? And so we definitely want to confront and discuss why it bothers us. So that it can help them see how hurtful it is to them. Now, with my mother-in-law, unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. Even though I've shared that with her, she can't comprehend that it is hurtful. With my mom, she's been thankfully very open in some things. But she tries not to touch that subject with me, and I know she thinks about things, but she doesn't touch it with me, which is, I'm grateful to her for that. And then find something or things you like about your body. And I love this, because it really is so important. So for me, I love my eyes, I love my lips, I love my boobs, I love my butt. So I basically just kind of say, okay, well, I'm gonna look at these parts of me and I'm gonna love them, but I'm also going to allow myself to take those parts of me that I don't like so much and be like, okay, well, I love you too. I'm gonna choose to see you in a different light, right? And so kind of giving ourselves that opportunity. I also try to catch myself in the mirror. Like, if I'm trying to avoid myself in the mirror, okay, why am I avoiding myself? Okay, come on. And sometimes I'll have little mantras that I'll tell myself. For example, I would say, I accept and love myself unconditionally right now. I accept and love myself unconditionally right now. I accept and love myself unconditionally right now. And when we say these things in front of the mirror, it might feel a little weird. It might feel like, this is fake. But it's important for us to do that, because when we don't, then we're just letting the other stuff kind of move through us, right? And that's not the way to be. So I just kind of wanted to. So this actually was written by a clinician, okay, who is a family-based treatment therapist. So I was really excited to kind of read this, because it's coming from someone who is a therapist, and they're kind of giving some nice guidance there. So those are the things I wanted to say, but kind of, shaming in the name of spirituality. And that's one thing that I was going to say too. So there's a lot of, little comments that people would say in regards to, oh, well, you should try yoga. That's going to be so good. It's really good for the body. I've had people reach out to me and say, oh, I'm a coach, and I want to, I would love to, to help you with your journey or whatever. And I would be appalled, right? It's like, okay, well, have I mentioned anything about me being upset about me trying to lose weight or anything? I haven't, but I've been approached by people, and also I can sense when they're looking at me, and there's kind of like that. And when someone is judging you, they're kind of looking up and down at you, and you can tell. And so that's one thing that I've noticed, that people kind of like misjudge you, don't and then they kind of cancel the opportunity to even connect with you further, or even see your light, or see the power that you can carry over into their lives, because of because of that external look. And I'm not saying that everyone does this, right? But it does show up in the new age community, right? So the body shaming in the name of spirituality, it's also, saying things such as, if you are, if you're X, Y, and Z, then you're not, ascending. For example, if you're not eating like this, then you're not ascending. If you're not, practicing such and such, then you're not connected. These are all things that I would be very, very worried about. If it's someone that you're following, I would be very worried about that, because this doesn't feel like it's aligned with really respecting the other person's journey. Everyone is in their own journey, and I cannot express this enough. Everyone is in their own spiritual journey. So you can be in a spiritual journey and be a big person, okay? You can be someone who can connect to spirit. who can receive messages, who can be intuitive and still be a beaker. You can't be someone, right, that that is capable of connecting and channeling and eat and not be vegan and eat meat. Okay, you absolutely can. And the reason why this is possible is because everyone has their own unique you know energetic makeup, right? So you're going to have your own unique blueprint that is going to be connected to certain needs that are unique to you. So, and you can even look into human design, and human design is a really great example of how we are so unique, not only at the energetics, but also in our needs of our body to support those energetics. So when someone says, well, you have to be a fruitarian in order for you to connect deeper, well, that may work for them because that's their energetic makeup and that's what works for them, but that's not the absolute truth. And that's why I'm so careful about what I share here. And I'm so careful to always say what I say is coming from my truth and my truth only, right? But you get to find your truth. You get to find within yourself what is aligned with you. What aligns for me doesn't always have to align for you. And that's where I wanted to leave it, right? So if you are following anyone that in any shape or form is making you feel like you're not good enough because you don't look a certain way, or you're not following a certain thing, or you're not doing a certain thing, then you definitely want to make sure that you question the integrity of that soul, that expression of that person, because they could be operating from an egoic and unhealthy space. And so we want to stay very, very conscious about this and practice discernment so that we can always find places that feel safe for us to express, that feel safe for us to emote, that feel safe for us to exist and be, right? Who am I to declare that you are less or more spiritual because of anything that you're doing, because of anything that you're doing or anything that you're being, or your appearance? That is not on me, right? That is my own perception, my own judgment, and that is something that I would have to work on, and it has nothing to do with you. So with that said, I will leave it here. I wanted to thank you all for watching this video. If you made it this far, if you like this video, please let me know in the comments. If you want me to expand more on this, or if you want to ever, if you have any questions for me, please let me know, and please do share and like this video if you felt this helped you in any shape or form. And do consider going into my website, thebloomylotushealing.com. If you ever want to work, I do work with the Akashic Records, and I use a system called spiritual response therapy that allows me to access the records in a very unique way and helps me clear energies from this and other lifetimes that are potentially affecting you in a negative way. And so, if you're struggling with something that is chronic in your life, then I definitely want to make sure that I am there for you. So please do consider working with me. Everything that I do is spiritual in nature, so it's all energetic. So it's always such a great thing for us to address. We are always addressing the physical and the mental, but the spiritual we tend to forget. And it's always important to check these things because they can support the physical and the mental efforts that we're putting in forth in our life. So with that said, I want to thank you again. I want to send you all my love, and namaste.